Howdys and salutations, y'all! Sorry we got off to a little bit of a late start here. I was just getting some things organized and also doing some gardening, which... Whew, holy cow, I forget how much of a workout that is in the summer. It has been too long since I've done any of that. There's more stories behind that, but we'll get to that later. Because first off, we've got Art Fight, which I totally forgot to update the stream announcement. Well, let me update our stream info. Better late than never, right? Ah, right. I stopped numbering these anyway. Good. Then we're all good. It's correct. And we do indeed now have music. So, hopefully you're enjoying the music. We'll see. For anyone just jumping in, welcome to SiphStreams. It's been a little while. It's not. It's been since yesterday. But that feels like a little while. It's been a long day. Perhaps even harrowing. Once again, later. What we're doing is we're doing some art fight sketches, but in general what we're doing is I am learning to do digital art with an audience. Because I figure if I'm going to learn this, I might as well see if anyone else wants to follow the process, learn as I do. And of course, always welcoming to have people backseat the heck out of me. Point out where I'm making mistakes, help me figure out where to correct them, because, like I said, I'm learning this, slowly but surely. So, where we left off, I know yesterday we did Olivine, but really, we need to get some actual art fight character sheets up there so we can do attacks and people can attack back at us. So we may just have Salt this year. We'll have to build some new character sheets over the next couple months, slowly but surely, hopefully faster as we get the hang of this. And we will go from there. Once again, just a cite to some of these poses, I've got to give credit to ABD Illustrates. I'll pop that in chat. Excellent YouTube channel. Some awesome guidance. A, cool narration, but also B, just awesome guidance on where to even start with some of these things. Because I'm new to character sheets and new to this sort of character OC world a little bit. I mean, yeah, back in the day I had a few, but I didn't, like, do much with them online. They lived in my sketchbook. And that is where they stayed. Except for a brief stint with AGDQ. Not AGDQ, holy cow, no. NATG. But that's neither here nor there. And those are not the same OCs we're working with today. So, we're going to get back to Salt. We're going to try to actually finish up Salt's character sheet. I have learned a lot about doing flats since we even just did this. So I'm going to go ahead and toss out the V1 flats, and by toss out I just mean hide. I may do another layer of sketching on this one, see if I can clean some stuff up a little bit. Like, the A pose is good, the hands are good enough for our purposes. I want to fix the legs. The legs are awkward as all get out, and they're making me unhappy with how they have turned out. So I'm going to do some tweaking there, and we will go from there. Once we get that, we'll get back to some flats. Hopefully we'll actually get to the flats today. Yesterday I got a wee bit behind. That is my bad. And then, yeah, we're going to start doing some coloring in, actually get something of a workflow going here. We'll come back to shading a little bit, and maybe some shape language will come up. We're not doing too much new designing this go-round, so I doubt there'll be a boatload of shape language relevant things. I'm going to toss this one on Ollie V1 too. Olivine is, once again, for another day. Okay, let's see. So this is the sketch layer. Right now it's on top of everything. Just to show, we did do some of the doodle flats. Oh, I've gone and put something in the wrong folder. It's this one, isn't it? Yep, that explains some things. Belongs in there. So that still looks bad because it's hidden, but at least this looks right now. If I hide the sketch layer, still pretty good. I'm quite happy with how that looks. Obviously, I hadn't figured out some of the smoothing stuff, and I'm a little rusty with some of these techniques. But that is... Oh, nope. That is sort of what we're picking up today. We're going to try to get some of these actual poses looking good. So, if I can't get these... Where the heck did I put it? Salt sketches. There we go. Man, I've got to get like an actual like sorting system in place here. I guess right now it makes sense to have sketches on the top and figure out coloring underneath them. That way I can see what I'm doing when I'm filling in areas. So yeah, we've got... Oh, yeah, and I'll put away Doodle Salt for now. Much as I like Doodle Salt. For context, this is Salt. Salt is a fun little witch, or wannabe witch, really more of a ranger, better at brewing things and surviving out in the wilderness, but dagnabbit, she will find some way to get magic, even if it's... well, I was going to say the magic of friendship, but that I feel is copyrighted already. Even if it's not exactly the type of magic she originally set out for. But we'll see. We'll see. So for now, let's zoom in a little bit, see if we can get what we're doing with. Also, I noted yesterday, this is done with sort of the mechanical pencil. You may have noted yesterday when I was doing with olivine, which didn't turn out amazing, it's the G pen. I think I like sketching with the mechanical pencil a little better. The rounded edges just work better for like figuring things out. I'll deal with tapering and all of the G pen stuff once we're actually trying to ink stuff, which may or may not happen. Again, my preferred style tends to be lineless. So that's what we're going to do there. Let's pop open a 6, see if that's looking good. It is, but that's Ollie's color. Ollie. I guess it is Ollie. I need to figure out nicknames for olivine, because I like saying, I guess it would be Ollie, wouldn't it? Or olivine? Ah. In case you hadn't guessed, all my characters are named after minerals, because I am a nerd who likes minerals. Not gemstones, mind. A, I feel like Steven Universe already did that, and B, minerals are more fun, kind of down-to-earth folks. The whole point of the gemstones in that show, well, one of the many points, I haven't watched it all the way through. I can't speak to its general overarching themes and such. But one of the things they were doing in that show was definitely showing that they were sort of otherworldly and alien. Whereas in this one, I really do just want them to be kind of down-to-earth people, you know? So that's what I'm going to do here. So I may actually just duplicate this layer, and I'll do some leg tweaks on both of these characters, because, I mean, the rest of it, again, it's not fantastic, but it's workable. The rest of it's workable. I actually, you know, at least the character design is consistent. You can see what's going on with them. I totally forgot her cloak on this one. We'll fix that. But I need to fix the legs, because it is consistently bad. The leg design is consistently bad on these. But that's not really, you know. Let's actually get this kind of pinky red going on here. Okay. So let's see if we can't. Pop quiz. Anybody here have a clue how to copy layers? Throwing that one out to chat before I throw it out to guessing wildly. Any thoughts? And if not, that's a-okay. Once again, nobody here is required to chat. Probably ought to throw that. I'm not here to call you out in your classroom. Make sure you participate. You're more than welcome to chill. We're trying to keep it, well, I'd say low and chill vibes, but I feel like this lo-fi music, if we keep it up going too long, may still be putting me to sleep. But, unlike the last playlist, at least it didn't get a copyright strike yesterday, so that is an improvement. Boop-a-doop-a-doo. Let's just try Control-D. I think I skipped the song in Spotify. Well, either that was perfect timing, or that was very much the wrong control. Oh, dagnabbit. You'll notice I use the wrong tools quite a lot. Harder to do that with pencil and paper, which is what I'm used to, so I still gotta get the hang of this. Also gotta work on those pauses a little bit. Took some public speaking stuff, or at least, you know, small group speaking stuff. You'd think I'd be better at it by now, and I was for a while, but then, you know, I stopped doing those, and then I got worse. Funny how that works. Okay, is this a copy? Merge layers, create layer mask, show layer in 2 pane. Ooh. I don't know what this button does. Ooh, it opens a thing down here. Oh, okay, it lets you focus on different layer. That's interesting. That actually could potentially be useful if my file structure ever gets too unwieldy, which at the rate it's going, it's making a beeline towards unwieldy by next week. So I need to work on getting those organized, or maybe just start a new file for different characters instead of keeping them all in the same place. Crazy how that works. But yeah, let's see. How do we copy a layer? New raster layer, new layer, duplicate layer. Maybe I was just blind before. Okay. Salt sketches, adjusted, V2. Sure. Why not? Okay, so here we go. We've got salt sketches. We're going to do some tweaking on this. First off, wow, why am I getting a bit more of a southern accent here? I don't know where that's coming from. Guys, y'all know where that's from? Why does this happen? It happens when I'm a dungeon master too. Like, I try to do any other voice, and then it just slowly slides into a little bit of a southern accent. Haven't the faintest idea why. Okay. So, focusing on what we got here while this accent's just lingering. Another thing my D&D players will tell you is that I'm bad at getting out of accents once I get into them. So, like, I'll do it for a character, and then I gotta switch to another one, and then suddenly that other character just sounds like the first one, because I can't swap. So we're going to have to work on that. But in the meantime, we got a little bit of a southern accent going here. Not a great one, mind. Guess I'm giving away a little bit about the general region where I'm from. Not giving y'all too much detail, though. I feel like it was probably obvious from the Howdys and Salutations, y'all, to be honest. Not a lot of places in the world are going to go with a greeting like that. Okay, so, thinking about the legs, which leg on this one do we want to be sort of... I need to tweak them both, because I was looking back at the reference from ABD, who, again, can't recommend their stuff enough. And they were kind of more symmetrical, going out kind of like just, well, not that angle, but they were the same angle out. You know, like the letter A. The letter A don't look like, well, I guess if you're doing calligraphy, it could. It definitely don't look like it's doing like a little tiptoe unless you're having some fun with it. But I think we probably ought to try to actually stick to normal A, and not this. I don't even want to know how you do that pose. Woo. Oh, I guess it just looks like someone who's really nervous. Oh well. We're just gonna pop that pose right on out of here, along with all these other A's. There's no reason to have quite this much alphabet learning here. I think we got that down pretty well already, y'all. So we're just gonna pop these out of the way. Oop. And then we're gonna come back to the... Am I trying to erase dirt on my screen? I am. That is my bad. Okay, let's see if we can't get out of this accent for real, for real. We're back, I think. Hopefully it doesn't slip back in that way. Okay, legs. We kind of want to rebalance the legs a little bit on this one, but also I want to make sure that I'm keeping the parts of this that I think are actually good. So I'm just gonna, because I think height-wise this leg is better. This one's too low. You can tell they're different heights. It's not just perspective, because they're like the same distance apart from us. So I'm going to take this leg as a reference. I'm gonna pick the whole darn thing up, and I'm just gonna scooch it over here. Sorry, Salt. Okay. I'm gonna take this one as a reference, even though I think it's the inferior leg. I'm slipping southern again. I don't know why. And then we're gonna pop this one over here, and nobody question that. Please don't question why there are spare legs. Nobody needs to know. We're gonna go back to our pencil. We're just gonna stick on the mechanical pencil, same one we've been using up to this point. I'm gonna readjust my posture, because let me tell you right now, it is terrible. I need to get myself a posture reminder going. Oh, that's why I can't get in right. Chair wheel's in the wrong spot. I've got myself a bit of a corner desk going here, and the angles don't always line up so great for posture. It is something that I'm working on. Okay, so for these underlying lines, instead of this, we really want kind of just like this one's kind of the right angle if it were more like foot oriented, like closer to this one, but not quite this one. But then also I don't want them to be crazy long. Like I think, again, we were talking the length on this one's right. So I'm going to try to cut them here. Because if we're thinking about knees, you've got sort of like the waist here, you've got kind of knee here, you're going to have kind of foot stuff here. Because Salt isn't like a full-grown adult, Salt's a kid still. So we're not going for full-on proportions. Other thing, is the stance a little uneven here? I think it is. Once again, I'm just gonna, whoop, nope, not like that. Let's see if we can't get a slightly bigger selector and just zoop, zoop. Drag this on over. Like a little bit. Is that too wide a stance? I mean, Salt would power stance. Salt would T-pose on someone in a heartbeat. If she knew what it was. Or if she just saw someone else doing it, really. You'd be like, ooh, I want to do that. T-pose, 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 T-pose. And Olivine would hate every second of it. Okay, so I think we've got something more like this. So then I may actually, because like, okay, I'm going to use this foot as the template. So we're going to start with this foot. I'm in fact going to so confidently start with that foot that, man, you know, this is one of the things that is really nice about these digital tools, I gotta say, is being able to just pick stuff up and scoot it around. And, or at least just move it out of the way, but still have it as a reference. I'm going to tilt this slightly. And we're just going to put that there. I probably should have erased a little bit of the line that was below here. Oh well. Scoot some of that out of the way, some of that out of the way. This lower line's ended up being more of an issue than I thought it would be. Ah, okay. Well, this is what I get for not planning ahead. Okay, so we're just going to keep this sort of going down like that. I kind of want to match the angle a little bit with this side. At least make it look like it fits well with it. Good enough. Good enough. Good enough. Okay. So then, thinking about where the knee would be, I guess the point really wouldn't show on this, would it? It's only going to show when it's out like this. So I guess, yeah, we're really, for this view, it's really just going to sort of come straight down. Straight down. Leather boot. Nothing crazy. And we're kind of still front view on it even. Like up here. Obviously, it sort of shifts down there, as one does. But I think... Angle on this ends up looking a little off still when I do it like this. I'm going to have to tweak that lower foot a little bit. Ah, no. Why do I keep... I need to figure out what I'm holding down wrong that keeps causing that. Okay, because... I think we just want this to vanish up here then. We'd see like the lower part of the point, which is going to look awkward in this one until they see the side view ref. Which is one of the benefits of having multiple ref poses, I gotta say, is you can clarify things that don't look clear. Okay, and now that we've sort of done a little bit of posing with this, I'm going to use this as an excuse to actually see if I can do something else too. Can I? Ha 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 ha! I can totally copy and paste, and it just puts it in the same place, doesn't it? Because that's really bright now. It's back! Okay, so now the reference is back, and frankly, I probably shouldn't have gotten rid of it at all. But, oops. Am I on the wrong layer now? What's happening? Or did I copy and paste the whole layer? Uh-oh. Okay, so I want to keep this one. This one's just a foot, isn't it? It's just both feet. Okay, that's interesting to note that that's how the copy and paste works. It's not helpful, mind, but it is interesting to note. I guess this is one of those points where merging layers would be handy, wouldn't it? Is this across all layers? No, okay. Okay. Then I'm just gonna sorta casually... Let's just merge the selected layers. There we go. Now everything's back where it should be. The feet are proliferating, sure. It'd be a heck of a foot race, wouldn't it? It's more like watching snails race or something. The foot race is you've got your foot, and you just sort of enter it when the competition runs independently. If that's not been done already, I want to see that. I'm sure it has. Let's see. Because this should really be mostly toward the front. And then the issue is that this lower foot down here, which I'm going to have to get rid of because I have the ref now. I really need it to sort of be more forward, but not like crazy forward, you know? Like it's 3/4. The word for it is 3/4. The word exists. Why am I trying to circumlocute this mess when there's already a word for it? Yeah, this is sort of what I'm looking for. Not sure if I really want the point on it, though. I may just kind of want it to sort of curve. Yeah, I actually kind of like what that lets me do with perspective, too. I can define the angle real easily when it's like that. Now, I have gone and made the foot real fat. That's not really what I'm trying to do. I do want it to still taper a little more. I think the fatness is less actually back here where I've been messing with it. Let me undo some of that. Okay, that one's still a little bit on the chubby. This is contributing. You know, wide foot ain't bad. It's just not what Salt's got. So let's see if we can't narrow it more towards the toe a little bit. Sort of like these, we've got clearly pointed toes. I think that's what we want. Let's see. We're just going to keep tweaking on this a little bit. See where we get with that. Oh, by the way, I am open to raid suggestions. So if you've got anyone that you want to suggest that I raid, I am down for that. Caveat being, I do want to be family friendly. We're trying to keep a family friendly vibe here. I'd prefer art fight just because that's kind of on theme, but obviously, you know, if there's something else that's worth doing, if you got like a DJ or like a particular Let's Player you want to stream or you want to look at, then I'm down for that. But I just want to, you know, I want to make sure that we're actually sharing with the community, and also to grow as a channel. Networking is the way, as they say. I don't think anyone actually says that directly, but it is, you know, it is an essential part of this. I'm still not super thrilled with it. You know what? I think I know a trick for this. Not that. And select lines when they're vectors. Let's just scooch some of these nodes in and see what happens. And also just straight up delete lines. Interesting. Interesting what that's gone and done. Made a mess is what it's gone and done, but maybe if we like kind of bring the curve in a little sharper over here. The point really should be there if we're talking about like the midline of the foot. Shouldn't have added a line for that, but that's fine. Maybe we just keep on going. Let's just go further. Maybe my line... Oh, when did my line weight get to 10? I must have hit shift and accidentally adjusted it. That may be part of the issue, is the foot just looks too heavy compared to everything else. Go for some lighter lines. Definitely lighter than that one. We're just gonna sort of keep on going like that. And then, yeah, I think that's getting more to what I want. Wish I'd defined her shoes a little better before. I mean, I did, and here they look great, but like, maybe it's this curve. Maybe the fact that it's sort of bending like that also is what's throwing me off. I know I always talk about every stream about how we need to do arm practice, and one of these days I'm just gonna do like 5 hours of just arms. So help me, I need to. But maybe I need to do a leg. You know, you can't skip leg day. So maybe that's what I'm missing as well. Okay, so these are kind of leather boots. Oop, I kind of want to keep that. Just tweak the silhouette a little bit for it. It shouldn't bend that much. Like a little. Because the knee is there. I don't want to imply a knee here. How to draw leather boots. If there was a tutorial that could just make it look good but not like copied from someone else's work, that would be great. But I think I'm just gonna have to figure this out from actually looking at leather boots and seeing what they do. I will say that this particular design was a little inspired by Nausicaa and the Valley of the Wind. Thank you, Brain, for at least eventually remembering that. Fun movie, fun film, that one. It's hard hitting at times too. Like, you know, it's a little rough, but I think it's got some good messages, and it's an enjoyable watch, I gotta say. No, I'm on Eraser again. Maybe I had to take pen off of the P-press cycle. I don't like how flexible this makes the boots look, and how much it makes it look like there's just boots around something else. Like, see, in 3/4 view, you can just get this, because like the bend of it makes sense, but when it's like this, it's so much harder. It probably isn't. I'm sure there's an easy way to do this for people who know. And if I actually was looking at a reference, which I ought to, then you know, that would be good. Okay, let's start from the beginning on this. Center line. Then we sort of need, we're at 3/4, so the leg is going to look like, hang on, I'm going to actually dig out, I went and got, there's a famous anatomy book from way back in the day called, by someone named Bridgman, and I know I've got it here. Let me dig this thing out. Constructive Anatomy. It's been handy. I need to finish it though. I've only done, ironically, the arm section, and I haven't obviously gotten all the way through it yet. A lot of these things get worse before they get better, you know. Okay, let's see if I can't find a reference for the general forms of a 3/4 view leg in here. And if I can't, then I'll just have to sort of find a few side views and build from them. His legs are shockingly complicated. As is the rest of the body. Humans are complicated. Anyone notice that? I'm sure I'm definitely the first person to ever make that observation, but humans are complicated. So, unfortunately, that means drawing them's a little complicated, too. It's not like some computers where they can look super streamlined and then still be really complicated inside. Humans are complicated inside and out. Then again, you know, we really wouldn't have the world we have if it was any other way. So, I'm happy we're complicated. But it does, at this exact moment, inconvenience me, even though I literally couldn't be doing this if we were simpler. Okay, so side view. If we're talking just the lower leg, it's going to be, obviously the heel comes out, and then it is kind of just in and then out like that. If we're talking broad forms. And the knee, and then just kind of a loose out there. I mean, look at, obviously that's a little exaggerated, but like, it's already more realistic looking. Granted, I want to keep this simple enough that it's still cartoony. So we will... Ah, no! I need to figure out why my eraser, or how I keep... So I know the issue with the eraser is that if I just press the button, like it just toggles it like that. I have to hold it down if I want to just be doing something with the pen. I have to make a pen mark or else it won't revert. If I like hold E and make a pen mark, and then it's back. Or a pen motion, rather, because it's an eraser. It will make the opposite of a mark. But I think that's what I'm doing. Maybe I'm releasing a tiny bit too soon on that? Okay, I need to just tweak how I'm dealing with that then. Okay. In the meantime, this means that I'm actually going to just, though, let's try to be a little more cautious with the eraser. And maybe I should be using undo for some of the things I'm using the eraser for. It's made a little more for those quick changes. I mean, this obviously still doesn't look great. It's kind of warbly. But it at least is recognizable as something. You know, something maybe even leg-like. One might imagine. Okay. And now the question is... Ah. That was undo that got me that time. The question is... Do we just copy this and move it to the other side? I feel like the answer is yes, because we're what, 30 minutes into this stream already? Okay, yeah, the answer is yes. One of the benefits of these things is the shortcuts it offers. They're not bad. I'm not cheating by doing this. This is also just a character sheet. The exact composition of the leg is not exactly essential. Okay, so literally just pressing copy is what does that then. Ah, see, nothing off about this pose. There should be, is there a flip selection? Selection launcher settings. Maybe not that one. Invert selection. Deselect. Delete outside select. New tone. That's always fun. We can make a big old mess. Delete outside. No. Cut and paste. Anyone in chat know? I'm actually going to look this one up. I feel like it would be a useful thing to be able to do. So I'd like to figure out how to do it. So let's see. CSP. Yeah, for anyone wondering, I am using Clip Studio Paint. I'm not paying out Photoshop money. This literally came free with my tablet. Then again, I've also heard great things about it, so I was actually planning on getting it anyway, and then I realized, like, oh, hey, it's on my tablet. I've been using Krita for years, which I do like Krita as well. And I say for years, I used it for like a few months in college, and gave it a go there. Got decent at it. But you know, I wanted to try something with a little more, with the vector tools were the main draw, and a little more professional-ish tool, although Krita's come a long way, like, it's pretty much there. It's good for animating, too. It's got everything. This has animation, too, of course. CSP flip selection. Ooh, this is an old... Let's see, this is an old guide. So is it really invert selection? I don't think it's that, because I think now I've selected the entire canvas. Yeah. Maybe cropping will let me do some of the... Oh, nope, these are the same controls. Also, holy cow, wait a second. I just realized what that did. No! No, no, no. Bad. Oh, I guess it's... You can, like, flip a layer? The layer mask? Mask just the selection. But then how do I change what the mask is? You can just see a tiny little bit here that is in the layer but didn't get selected, but that's not what we need. Okay, I don't want to. Okay, so this is clearly not the thing I need. And okay, maybe edit, transform, flip horizontal. Hey, that is shockingly complicated. I didn't think it would be that complicated. I had to get out my mouse for that. Okay, we're just gonna put this down here because I'm learning from last time. And I'm not going... I'm on the wrong layer again. We're just going to merge these layers. Oh, and then I need to deselect everything. Okay, I say I'm learning and then I make a number of silly mistakes in a row. But, in a way, that is what learning is, isn't it? Sort of. Close enough. I'm happy with that definition. Learning, making a series of mistakes, and then figuring out what was wrong with them so you don't do it again. Not learning is making a series of mistakes and then just, you know, continuing as though you didn't. That's not helpful. It's fun and easy. This stance... Okay, no, the wider stance was better. The stance is making me realize that, my whole character may have a very slight tilt off to the left if you look, like, head position relative to legs. This might be solvable, though, if I just scooch... Ah, nope, I don't want to catch the fringe. I just said I don't want to catch the fringe. I'm still catching some of it, but it's better. And we're just gonna color that in. Scooch it over. And you know, it's a little too much of a power stance. The feet are definitely like bending a little too much down, but it is good enough for our purposes. So I'm just going to... Okay, so this is salt adjusted V2. It's the OG one. And then I think I'm going to actually just scoot these legs into their own layer that I'm just going to bury somewhere probably. I love that you can just extend selection areas with this. This is so nice. This is one of the things that either Krita could do it and I didn't know how, or Krita couldn't do it. Either way, wasn't helpful for me when I couldn't do it. We're just going to cut this. And I'm just going to zoop. This is legs. There will be no other explanation given. Future me, stinking good luck. And I've got some tweaks I'll need to do with that, but obviously, you know, in the end I'm trying to go lineless anyway, so lines aren't going to be a huge impact there. We'll save what we've done there. And let's work on this other one. Not legs. Salt sketches copy. Nope. What? Oh, dagnabbit, I still ended up with two of them anyway. Okay, this one's the original one. This is Salt Sketches V1. Somehow those have gotten all mangled around. I'm not even worried about base poses anymore. I think they're probably... Well, it might be relevant. Anyway, I'm going to hide V1. I don't want to mess with that. V2 adjusted. So once again, in this case, both legs aren't perfect. I mean, the foot design and the actual, like, design art of the legs is really nice. I like how it's turned out. But the issue is that, especially that back one, is got got issues with where it is relative to everything else. Let me zoop a few of these in here. Let's zoop. Look at a first emote. Maybe it ought to be zoop. We're gonna zoop these out. Time to get zooping. Zoopa-doopa, as they say in Germany at some point in the 90s. Anyway, making myself feel old now. What the heck am I? Eraser. Yes, there we go. Yeah, sorry. Like I said, I was doing some gardening earlier, and it is really stinking hot here. Like, awful. I hate it. It's really dreadful. That makes gardening really complicated and really exhausting. So, I'm counting that as my fitness for today, or sorry, Ring Fit. We're putting you off until tomorrow. Let's see. Maybe that leg was better as it was, honestly. Like, if we undo everything we've just done. Let's see. And then if I'm just putting my hand up to the screen, so you know what? I'm gonna do this in a way that y'all can all see. If we're just looking at it like this, it does look like it's attaching like a little. So I just need to adjust this little joint right here, really, and it'll look like it maybe attaches here instead of like somewhere down. I guess that's also like not the most wrong. It needs to attach here, really. This one's obviously stinking wild. Like, if we look at what this pose actually is, let's spell this out. Let's spell out exactly why this is so wrong. So you've got like your waist, you know, like people have, and you've got kind of like a front, you know, bit there. This leg should come down like this, which it almost does, and then that's fine, and the perspective's fine. But what's this doing is what it looks like is like a woo, whoop, whoop. And that ain't how legs work. I mean, like chest we can sort of figure out pretty easily. Love that I'm reverse engineering my own art from like just a few days ago. You've got kind of shoulder joint kind of here, so the arm, yeah, it's a little off, but it's fine. And then you got like, you know, face. Triangle hat. And then if I just hide the sketch layer real quick, you can see, yeah, this top part's actually looking fine. But this is ridiculous. Ain't nobody's thigh bone doing that. Oh, jeepers. What did Salt do? Fall asleep on like a train track? Like, no. No, 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 no. We're hiding that. We're hiding this one too, because I think it led us astray a little bit. This is the original poses. But yeah, even that, clearly, like, it doesn't attach to the hip in the right place at all. That original pose has so many issues, by the way. Well, you know, if I'm going to say it, this part, it's maybe just in too extreme a perspective. Like, it shouldn't be quite as sharp at this end. It ought to flatten out a little bit, so it's clearly not, like, way off on the horizon somewhere. This hip, this line is just wrong. It should, like, go here and then arc back up here, and then the side should be over here and not as wide. So sort of like zoop, 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 zoop. Down here, back up. This nonsense is crazy. This leg should be like up here, connected down. But I was just figuring it out, and I was crazy rusty. Like I said, even in just the last couple days, we've come a long way. I'm just gonna call this "What's Wrong with My Leg?" And we're just gonna not keep that layer visible, although I've accidentally made a princess hat instead of a witch's one. Alternate universe. Salt is a... Salt would not be thrilled being a princess. Maybe for a couple days. I think she'd get booted from the castle, though. Okay, so let's go back to... We're doing the adjusted here. Oh yeah, Salt Doodle. I love this style. I need to refine it a little more. I've been having a lot of fun. It's just sort of one I came up with. Well, you know, obviously, you know, you look at artists you like, you see what they're doing. I'm definitely going to do some style studies in the future. Just need to figure out, you know, copyright agreements, and I'm not doing it until I figure out how I have a bot that can link back to the original artist's work, like every 2 minutes or something. Maybe every 3, just, you know, depending on pace of chat. Because, you know, I'm not doing that without citing their work. For sure. But, you know, you want to study their pieces, how they do what they do, and then you can sort of incorporate like odds and ends of it. Like, oh, I like how they do like eyes, or like the nose and chin piece here, or the neck or something. But this one I ended up also just going with and being, after I'd studied a whole bunch of those, I was like, okay, if I just go with like no refs and I just like wing it to draw a face, forgetting all the stuff I've learned, what can I come up with? What's been sort of like instilled in my brain? And obviously with like I eventually ended up getting back into structure pretty quick. You can see it with the hair, and I figured out hairlines and stuff, but it's an interesting way to sort of tweak and figure out different styles. Everyone talks about having their one style, and obviously you've got the style that is going to speak to you and going to be your thing, but you can develop more than one. Like, a lot of artists draw in multiple styles, and they developed more than one of them. It's a process. They're ever growing, ever changing, and obviously really good artists, they find one that works and is distinctive for them a lot. A lot of really good artists. Everyone does this differently, after all. It's not an exact science. We're going to scooch that leg over there. I'm going to have to put that on the legs layer, aren't I? Anyway, going back to 5, and we're zooming in a little more even. But yeah, so that's sort of one way to sort of mess with styles, is study things, get that information. You basically, as with everything, learning a skill, you basically have to build up a vocabulary. You need to do the studying and learn the basics, learn what's out there, what people do. But once you have your vocabulary, and you sort of know the words, you have the basic tools, then you can start experimenting and making sentences. And yeah, your early sentences aren't going to be revolutionary. They're not going to be something that changes anything. But eventually you can start to grow and build more complex ones. You can build them off of existing stuff, be more traditional, or you can go into like wild poetry stuff that's really off the wall in different forms and experimental. But it's not just, like, that's for every skill. Even stuff like pure mathematics, it's got a lot more vocabulary to learn, a lot more early sentences, and very, very strict grammar. But, like, once you're getting into the extensive stuff, you're working within those grammar guidelines, but you're figuring out stuff no one's done before. You're trying to figure out proofs that no one else has proved. Like, even the sciences work this way. This is how every skill works. And it's... once you start to realize that's what you're doing, the early practice stuff feels less frustrating, because you're just building up... you're building up to your vocabulary so you can do sentences. You're like, okay... And you realize you don't have to learn all of it at once. You can get some of the basics, and then you can start doing some sentences and actually making stuff. Like this. I got some of the basics of digital, just enough to navigate the interface, sort of, without being a complete buffoon, only a partial one. As we've seen with my numerous eraser clicks, like the fact that it's selected now. But, like, I can get started on doing stuff like this. And, it's fun. I don't have to wait until I've mastered every single word in the language. No one does that. You'd be crazy to do that. It would not be a good idea. Yeah, you learn some basics. You get down when you need to get started, and then you build from there. Okay, so like I said, if this hip needs to be here, we sort of got... oh, yeah, I need to tweak this leg a little, too. I think even just a subtle thing like that is going to help. Yeah, it's a little less action posy. It straightens it out a little bit. I may do a very, very subtle tweak to the leg. I want to actually use the lasso. There we go. I was like, lip, nope. Lasso. I'm just gonna tilt it again ever so slightly to re-simulate that tilt we had going at first. Because the tilt is sort of what gives it excitement. That's what makes something interesting. Oh, okay, wait, nope, there's one issue with that one. You don't want lines of two different things to run into each other, because it kind of makes it look like it's the one line, and the way the sort of metal piece on the front here is bumping in, yeah, that's not good. Okay, I need it to poke out a little more. Or, like, be clearly in front. Okay, let's see if this ends up working. It's not perfect, but it'll do better. It'll do better. This one's tough, because once again, I've got kind of a three-quarter thing, so you're going to kind of see the front of the knee and also the back of it. That's what we're working with, but I also need to know that this underlying line is bad news, because the actual, like, leg joint is here. Should really only come down to there before it kicks back. So I'm gonna toss out this lovely little loosey-goosey knee. Do geese have knees? I don't think geese have knees. Well, anyway, the goose knee. We're gonna toss out the goose knee. And we're just gonna go back to, you know, again, like just a tiny bit of the back, really the front. And as far as poses go, this now looks like it's more of a jump shot, but that's fine. That also would be in character. Jumping immediately towards the thing she's looking at. Ah, poses. Something that I will have to work on a little more when I have time. The eternal saying of the person who never finishes the stuff they start. Or never finishes all the stuff they talk about. It's like, I'll work on it when I have time. You won't. You won't have time. But at the very least I can write it down, because who knows? Sometimes you end up with a lot of time without expecting it. Let me tell you, 2020 gave me a heck of a lot more time than I planned on when I learned to do a lot of this stuff. Not the digital art, just like basic human proportions in general. And obviously, I've still got a ways to go, but at least I was able to jumpstart it. Okay, so we've got the leg like that. Knee's not going to be very low, but the point of the crystal-y bit is... Wow, really? That's just a 5? I guess I'm just zoomed in on stuff. The point of the crystal-y bit is, why am I drawing that first before I've got my reference points in? Am I crazy? Stop that. Stop that, me. You violated the law of, like, not going mad. Okay, so legs gonna sort of come back like that. And I kick out on the foot. And then I kind of like the silly bean-looking foot. Like, it's not exactly right. Obviously, it's wrong. But it's kind of fun. I think we're even going to sort of see the crystal more like this. Like, we're not even going to see the other side of it so much. Which is interesting. It should be higher up, though. A little higher up. And that should maybe be a tad less curved. It's a fun... I enjoy the cartoony stylized pieces, but like, you really want to actually be intentional when you do that. If you're doing it by accident, you're not going to be able to be consistent with it, and eventually it's going to be obvious that you just kind of stumbled into a scribble. Anything that is part of your style because you can't not do it isn't part of your style. It's a skill you haven't learned yet. A lot of things, a lot of quote-unquote parts of my style are like that right now. It's something that I'm trying to work on. That's why we're trying to practice skills like this, and why I look at things like shape language, because let me tell you, I stumble into character designs. Especially early on, like nobody's business. Like, hey, these colors look nice together, and I like spiky hair or something, I don't stinking know. And then I just do it, and it's like, well, it's not really the way you want to go about it, you know? What am I doing on time? Holy cow, we're almost to the hour mark, and I still haven't done any color. What is this, yesterday? Come on, come on. But I don't want to color them in and then have to fix the line work and then go recolor it, because even if the line work's not going to show, it helps define where stuff goes. You knows? I kind of got the... It's a little too much of a side view. It needs to be a little more top of the foot view, methinks. So I'm going to try to compress the heel down a little bit, bring the bottom over here, and sort of bring out more of the front of this. More of the front of that, too. And I can use this curvature. That's part of why I like this curve. Like this little detail curve where it's kind of like a leather wrapping over like a sock or something. Is that it helps you define where the top of the shoe is. Like, right now, it suddenly looks like this end of the shoe is like on the other side of it because this is curving down really sharply, whereas if I... No, not eraser. If I do this... It's kind of more neutral. The outline is still defining it a little more than I want it to, but like having that curve helps. Of course, if I did put the point in it, it'd be very obvious where the center is, but I still don't think I want to do that. No. Is that really part of that line? Guess it is if I go up enough. Yeah, huh, okay. Wild. I just scoot the rest of that line kind of out of the way. Do that. Toss this bit of it. There we go. Now, assuming that we don't have a third leg following us ominously, which, with salt involved, we cannot safely assume that, but at the moment, we're going to make that assumption. So I'm just going to scooch this, like, over there somewhere. Goodbye, leg. The much less popular sequel to Goodnight Moon. Goodnight, leg. Okay, see, maybe I was zoomed up too close, because this is obviously still not exactly what we want. No, don't apply the transformation. Don't. Oh, dagnabbit. That transformation? Yeah, that one you can apply. Good night, leg. Okay. Where are we going off on this? Kind of got the side leg, and it's kind of tapering too quick so it looks small. Although, other option is to make it look like that upper arm is pointing slightly more forward. And it really is more of a true three-quarter pose, which I kind of like better, even if it's going to be more work. Sorry, y'all. It looks like it's going to be another day of I spend too long on something silly. But, you know, we wouldn't learn things if we just took the easy route every time. So let's try to make that look, you know, like it at least attaches to the leg properly and the hips. Because really, this shouldn't be at the corner. It should probably be like somewhere over here. We got kind of that, and this, I should really be seeing more of it. Sort of like I did with the foot. I need to bring out the side view a little bit. Oh, jeepers, this has become a nightmare. This is like Escher-esque, horrible perspective now. Okay. Oh. Need the curvature to really be front foot. Stop looking like the side foot. Now, part of the side foot issue is this stuff up here, too. I guess the gem really does need to be facing us a little more, after all. But now it's so far down, and that shoe looks so squatty. And even in perspective, it shouldn't look squatty. It should just look smaller. So, assuming that's that. I can already tell that's way too narrow of a point where it meets the shoe. And then sort of zoom back out. We're getting closer. Maybe if I do the flippy-do, I'll be able to see what's going on with it. Man, I wish the shoe was a 3D object and I could just rotate it in space, because I can see exactly how I need to move it. I'm just trying to think of how I need to redraw it to make that happen. Same with the arm, really. Like, if this was a 3D model, I could just, like, drag and drop a, like, just select this joint, move, arc it a little bit. Easy. Easy, easy, easy. But it ain't 3D space, so I can't do that. So instead, I'm going to start by just adding a little bit of depth and see if that's enough to carry us. Otherwise, I'll have to actually, like, try to twist the palm a little bit. But as it is, and adjust, like, the elbow's appearance and such. But as it is, I think that that depth actually has done, at least in the loosest sense, what I need it to do. So now, instead of Salt looking like she's going just, like, directly parallel to the canvas, so, like, literally, like, a flat that way, we've kind of got Salt coming more towards us. So, like, this is a point in the distance, and we're somewhere along a road, like, that's far away. Salt's now walking towards us. As opposed to just, like, one point and another point. But this leg is still silly. So, let me just zoom back in a little more. Step one, let's try making the shoe a little bit bigger. I think that's going to be worth it. Also a handy thing that you can do this in digital art. You cannot do that so much with a pencil and paper unless you're going back and redrawing the darn shoe. Or you're getting, like, real clever with transfer paper and, like, grids and stuff, but, like, okay, step two. Maybe invent less wrinkly shoes, but I need I like the wrinkles because they help me show angles, like, relative to human proportions a little bit better. Just a static shoe, I feel, ends up being kind of harder to do. Step three. I need to rotate. Actually, a lot of the shoe's okay. Let me just toss the gem. Once again, this gem defining the center point is really handy sometimes, because, you know, it lets you immediately say, here's the center. but it's also really inconvenient if it's just slightly off. But I'd rather be able to catch that than not. And I'm gonna also just do a tiny bit of rotating. Once again, sort of like, no. Don't double click that, it deletes. Because that little circle is the void of nothingness unto which you can cast your drawings should you wish. Okay, still not perfect, but it's a heck of a lot better. It actually makes some amount of sense with the pose. The perspective is, like, obviously too extreme still. But I think it is workable for our purposes. And you know, I could keep tweaking this for another 3 hours. But I don't think anyone, including myself, wants to actually watch that happen. No. Maybe I've done this a little too close. No, because that's moving the center point. Just a tiny bit up. Just a tiny, tiny bit. Zoom back out. It's a smidge better. It'll do. It'll do. You know what? It'll do. Like I was just saying, you can't keep repeating the same thing over and over, and I didn't even finish saying it before I was repeating the same thing over and over. So, we're going to save that. We're going to not rotate it, despite me pressing that button, and wondering for the millionth time how I keep doing that. At least the eraser, I knew what the heck I was doing. This one I'm... Because that should be pan. Like, what? How am I swapping from rotate to pan is my question. Because this button is pan normally. But then, like, sometimes it ends up being rotate. Is it like when I hold shift or control or like... Do. Okay, I'll stop moving that around. That looks terrible on stream. Woo! Okay, let's recenter this a little bit. Okay. I'm gonna save that. Now we get to do the really fun stuff. Not that this hasn't been fun. It has. Oh, I need to do two things. One, I'd like to flip it back. Two, I would like to take this leg, and I would like to cut it onto its own layer, and then I would like to merge that layer below. Wow, I didn't even put it in the right place. It knew! It knew! Merge selected layers. And now it's just part of legs, and now legs can go away, because we don't actually need legs in this document. I just find it funny. Okay, we're gonna pop legs back down here, along with what's wrong with my leg. In terms of stuff that's not helpful. We're gonna go ahead and hide the base poses. I'm even gonna hide Salt Sketch V1. And I'm gonna maybe we... Is all this... Yeah, okay. So maybe I do another folder for these, because I'm trying to keep the... No, not new layer. Did I not... Create folder and insert layer. There we go. Old... I should clarify that these are old Salt sketches. Can hide those. Got the Salt flats. Aren't all visible. You know, I need to at least tick them all on. So, I mean, the layers are all in the wrong order. But at least it's, you know, kind of a thing. So I can see that. But the Doodle Salt flats, which I really like. And then we've got these. So let's get some real base colors going in here. Let's try to actually build a palette. I know this has some nice tools for it. I want brown. I want soft brown tones. Is that a color set? Brown tones. No, not really. Okay, well we can sort of work with these. Is each column a color set, or is each row supposed to be a color set? Well, in terms of salt's mostly monochrome, we're going to start with just the top row for pulling most of our colors, and we're going to go from there. So, this is where we say goodbye to the vector layers for a little bit. They've been wonderful friends, really great allies. And then when we come back from this quick little 2 to 3 minute break, we're going to say hello to the raster layers and some actual cool coloring. I promise I won't tweak the sketches anymore, even if I find other problems with them. Unless someone in chat like wants me to tweak the sketches more, in which case, you know, feel free to let me know if you want. But I think we're gonna move on, because otherwise these character sheets will literally never get done, and that's no good for Art Fight. That ends in like a week and a half, 2 weeks, literally 14 days, less than 13 days. See, okay, so I need to finish these like ASAP. So with that, I will be back in just a moment. We'll leave the music on, and I'll see y'all in a bit. Howdys and salutations, y'all. We are back. Sorry for the hiccup in the music, but I'm actually, you know, usually I think lo-fi is kind of background music. Like, it's not even background music. A lot of lo-fi is more on the level of white noise, really. And I don't mean that as an insult to lo-fi musicians, but, like, that's kind of the, like, level of awareness they seem to aim for, is, like, you're supposed to sort of space out to it. Obviously, not all musicians are the same. Everyone's got kind of different vibes. There's some artists I recognize their lo-fi immediately from like 3 notes, even if it's a new song, because their sound font and their style is so distinct. But like, a lot of it blends into the background for me, which is why I usually listen to stuff like a little boppier when I'm trying to focus and do art. Stuff like Swing Growers, which I'm a fan of. But I actually was, you know, kind of enjoying the last one, and you know, my rule with music is if I like a song but I can't remember what it sounds like after a minute, then I'm not gonna save it because it didn't actually even imprint. But these kind of did, so it's like, okay, let me go grab those. Okay. Other thing I realized on my quick pause there was that I am still got potting soil all over me, and I may get into that story a little bit more once we start in this process, because once I explain this process once, we're going to be doing sort of a lot of the same or similar things, which I enjoy. It makes it more rhythmic, frankly. You kind of get into a rhythm, you kind of enjoy it. But I'll go ahead and make sure we're explaining this clearly the first time, and also as a recap for myself. Okay, no Windows bar. I need you to go away, please. I actually want a new raster layer. Hey, raster layers, you and I used to have a rivalry, but we're on board now. Okay, so we're gonna start with skin tones. And we're just gonna start with this basic one that's pretty close to where salt is. Salt might be a little. Alright, we'll start with this. And basically everything I'm doing is I'm going to live on this lasso tool selection pen. We're going to start with a slightly larger brush size, maybe 10. And I'm going to turn down the music just the tiniest bit. It's chill, but it's also a little loud. And basically, I'm just going to select within the lines and try to make sure that I can get consistently within the lines. I want strong edges, so I need confident marks. The salt one ended up like a little wibbly wobbly, just the kind of doodle one, so I want to try to avoid that best as I can. And we're just going to sort of pop in here. Kind of color in. I hate to say color inside the lines, because that sounds like the most boring, you know, unarty thing ever. Although I did enjoy doing that as a kid. Yeah, I was that kid. Because I was like, what? And then it makes a nice looking picture. And it's satisfying when you can be like, hey, I did it right, and it all adds up. So I'm just going to try to catch everything that is skin color right now. I'm making the skin color like the bottom layer right now, so I don't have to worry about overlapping other stuff, because it's going to all get covered up by other things. But I need to make sure that I'm catching everywhere in the face where there even might be some. I need to make sure, the place I really need to be careful are the hands, because that's like actual outline. So these edges will be like sort of final edges. Let's try to get some swift, confident movements in there, color all that in. There's not going to be anything else to sort of do that. And we're just going to do that, and then we're going to just fill that. And that looks crazy and awful right now. Don't get me wrong. Step one is it should be below the line layer, and suddenly looks a tiny bit less crazy and awful. I may zoom in and do like a little bit of tweaking on the ears. And on the hands a little bit. So what I can do is I can also just sort of zoom in here, select, and then I can just delete everything in the selection. Suddenly that delete tool is a friend and not a foe. And we can clean up our edges a little bit. I want to make sure that I'm really getting like in the ears here, though. I don't want there to be a gap, so I'm going to fill that. And we'll start with that for now. Now you may notice, I know I talked a little bit about the fill tool last time, and that's something I want to experiment with more in the future. But what I've noticed, and I'm sure there's a setting to adjust this, but when I'm doing it with vectors, it fills right up to the vector line, but that means that it leaves a little gap where the line itself actually is. So if you're doing different colors next to each other, you end up with a nice little outline between them, which is neat if that's what you were going for, but I'm really actually aiming for a lineless style. So it's not super helpful. Not really what I'm looking for. Okay, so next layer, I want to do kind of background elements again next. So if we're looking, what's going to be sort of more towards the back? I think that I'm going to get the cape back here, and I think that's probably going to... It's not going to match the front cape tones. And it's not going to match the hat colors. So I think I'm going to I'll get the cape. Maybe we'll get the cape bag, like the inner pants. And that's okay if they're different colors. It's okay if they're on the same layer too, because we're not moving anything at this point. This pose is finalized for my sanity. And you know, the pant colors are going to match the front bit of the shoe here, kind of the sock bit, which will be back layer 2. So we're gonna get all of these on this layer. So we're gonna get like cape slash, what all did I say? Pants slash socks slash, and they're not actually socks. Like these aren't sandals, but you know, it's kind of an easier way to describe it. Slash bag. That was the other one. Bag. Okay. And so the nice thing about these being in the back is, again, I really only need to worry about the outlines that are actually on the outer edge here. So I can just get some pretty confident lines there. I guess I don't need to connect them. I don't know why I did that with the skin. And so I want to fill these with like kind of a mid-tier, kind of a beigey color. Not skin tone, something closer to burlap if I can find it. But I don't want it to look nasty, which a lot of these browns end up sort of doing on like just by default, which is unfortunate. And then I'm thinking, I don't quite want a black. I want a brown that's really close to it though. So I may actually do the black. I'm gonna go mess with the color wheel a little bit, tweak this into a more orangey area, and just move it a tiny bit up, because that's how you get to the browns. So we're just gonna get kind of like deep espresso brown kind of thing going here. So we're gonna get that part back there, that part back there. And then I need to make sure I get these sections. And again, I don't have to worry about outlines too bad. I just need to make sure that the outer edge here shows up well, and that everything else is fitting nicely underneath the layers that are going to go on top of it. So with each layer, we'll have to be a little more precise about different lines, but, you know, every layer has ones that it's going to be better for and ones it'll be worse for. And let's get this really dark color there. Oops, I accidentally colored the cape that too. Let's think how that'd look though. That might... I don't think that's gonna work. Okay, so one thing I can do is I have this lovely erase selection pen, so I can just make a big one there. Deselect these, deselect that, deselect all this mess. This is fun. Zoop, 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 zoop. Zoop-a-doop. And then we will go ahead and go back to whatever color it was we were on before. I really ought to be actually like making a new palette with these colors. Oh, not that one. And saving them there. But right now I'm going to rely on the eyedropper tool to save me. It's a crutch of a workflow if ever there was one. But that's okay. And we're going to stick with this brown for now. And I think that's it for this layer. And I'm going to end up with a lot of layers here. So that's fine. We'll have them in a folder eventually. Can I just right click and make... Yeah, we'll just do new raster layer like that. Because getting to this button triggers the like Windows start bar half the time. And that is not really what I need right now. Okay. So what else? Oh, I didn't get the bag on this one. So we'll go back to this layer real quick. Oh, cheapers. That ain't even close. Nope. Confident fast lines sometimes also means confident but wildly incorrect lines. Oops. That's why I'm on the erase tool. Back to selection pen. Okay, good. Not everything's selected then. Okay. And again, the parts of the bag that are going to be hidden under the cloak and tunic, we don't need to worry about so much. I'm not going to worry too much about colors on this one, so I'm just going to grab like a small one, and we'll make the inner flap kind of the same color for now. We'll catch that on shading. Like, I'm going to go through and we'll do some shading walkthroughs in a little bit. But for now, this will be fine. Yeah, I think that actually is a good color for the bag, too. We'll do that for the belts as well. Tunic will be like a little lighter even. I don't want it to clash with the skin tone. Tunic may be a little darker. Maybe we go a little darker with the tunic and we build from there. I've done a lot of like theorized colors with salt. I've never actually drawn salt in color, so we're going to see how all of these theories I've put together actually work in practice. So I'm going to be tweaking the colors a lot. But that's a-okay. That is how we do this. So I think the next piece that I want to get, sort of the next layer in this hierarchy, okay, I think hat and boots maybe make the most sense. Yeah. Hat and boots. And they're gonna be interestingly different colors. The selection pen, I can use the small select while I'm up here. I'm gonna want to zoom in on that a little though. Whoop, let's get up here. Once again, I'm still on the same canvas that I've been on the last few days, so we may want to go to a slightly higher res canvas in the future. We will see. But in the meantime, this'll work. Oop, don't need that one. Because these don't need to be crazy, they don't need to be perfect. I'm way overthinking them, but, you know, that's part of the fun of it, really. Okay, I should just get a bigger brush and actually do those fills later. But I can go ahead and get these edges while I'm here. And again, the parts of the hat that are going to be covered by other stuff, it's fine, but I do want to make sure the hat isn't covering the skin here. The hair is going to eventually cover a lot of this, and I'll use a bigger brush pen for some of that. I want to make sure the hat gets to the skin so there's not like a gap there, but I don't want it to, like, I don't want the hat to be in front of the ear. This is why I was worried about making sure that the ear was fully covered earlier. And the hair is going to deal with some of that. We got the kind of the scorched area, which there is backstory for that as well. Salt is an NPC in a D&D campaign, which means that she's encountered my players before. And while they mean well, they're not always actually helpful. At least they mean well. I've had a campaign where they straight up just were like, "Hey, this NPC is suspicious. I'm going to huck him off a cliff." As one does, I guess. Okay, so we're kind of filling in the areas here. Okay, so y'all are sort of seeing what I'm doing here now. I think we've got kind of the general vibe of what the rest of the stream's going to be like. And I wish I could go longer today. I've only got like 45 minutes left, and there's so much I want to do. But I have work in the morning, and that means I have sleep in the now, or in the slightly after 45 minutes. So Unfortunately, that's going to have to take the bulk of it. Okay, I think I'm going to actually have the hat sync with these other ones too. It's not a great color, but I think with shading we can make it a great color. Zoop. Hair's going to deal with those. Hopefully this will look good without the line work, and the shadows will deal with a lot of that. Okay. Now we're going to get these boots, which I'm still not thrilled with, but again, I can keep tweaking them all day, and I still won't be thrilled with them, I'm pretty sure. So, we'll keep tweaking these, and then I'll get onto that story about the pot and soil, because I know I've been hinting at that all day, and while it may not be the most brilliant plan out there, it's, you know, trust me, it's a legendary epic of the scale, the likes of Beowulf. None have ever heard tales such as these. No, it's some plants. But it's not just my gardening, and I wouldn't have just been doing it in the middle of the afternoon in stinking summer here, of all places. Have I mentioned I hate how hot our summers are? They're awful. Really awful. But it means that being outside was exhausting. So, what I found out on Monday, I'd heard about it earlier, but I didn't understand the scope of it, is one of our neighbors is doing some landscaping, which is lovely. You know, you got to do landscaping, you got to adjust your setup, make sure everything's good, make sure everything's alive, especially after, you know, I'm in the southern U.S., and we had that interesting little freeze last year, which was not great for the plant life. Was that that was 2 years ago. One of the years. At some point, everything froze, and it was awful. I mean, I'd say it was preferable to the heat right up until the moment that, you know, it wasn't. But, you know, it was nice times. I do like the cold better. It's fun to be able to actually go out and do snow. Or, not do snow. Play in the snow. Hang out with snow around. Be in the vicinity of snow. Not the drug. Anyway, we're getting off on quite a lot of tangents. My storytelling has gone a little bit off the rails, I'd say. But yes, the neighbors redoing their lawn. Not just their lawn, their whole yard, their whole landscape, everything. And so I was shocked Monday morning, look out my window, and see that there were, well, more here than see. There were a lot of folks with chainsaws out there going at the trees, and I was like, oh no! Because I didn't realize how attached I was to some of them trees until, like, you realize that that was my view out the window during, like, all the chaos of the last couple years and the lockdowns and all that junk. And so I was like, oh, right, that was my entire view of outside. I guess I do kind of actually care about those trees a lot. So it's been a little harrowing watching those. Some of them get trimmed, some of them get removed, some get pruned. But the other thing I learned was that there were a couple of century plants which do decent around here. They're big ol' kind of like the flat wide leaf cacti looking. They look a little like aloe vera, but big and spikier. Either way, they're fun, and there was one big one that didn't survive the freeze around us, but it had a whole bunch of little pups, and they did, and they've been flourishing ever since. And I learned that they were going to be removing those in the landscape, so we were like, hey, could we, you know, just, you know, nab some of those, put them in pots, see if we can save them? Well, okay, maybe we should have asked, but we were on good terms with our neighbor. I don't think she'd mind, because, again, they were just going to mulch them up. So I nabbed a couple of those pups, but the only time I could do it when they weren't in the middle of trimming the trees above them, and thus didn't want people just wandering around below, was kind of at the heat of the day after work. So it's like, welp, I guess that's what we're doing. And so I went out there and I went and replanted a bunch of pups, hopefully decently. I'll have to keep y'all updated on how they do. I hope I don't regret committing to that. If like a week later they're all dead and I'm like, no! I don't want to have a mourning for the pup stream. But, as it is, like, so far they seem to have not died immediately, so that's a start. They're supposed to be pretty hardy plants. Let's see, next layer, what do we want to do? Hair and tunic are kind of equivalent layers. I'm going to do the tunic first, just because there's some stuff that matches color with the hair better. Okay. I need something that contrasts a little bit. I'm going to do some color testing while I talk. But yeah, basically, that's why I was out there in the heat of the day, digging up these little, like, century plant pups. And then trying to get them settled into new plant pots and all that. That's kind of burlappy. These are all kind of barfy colors. I'm gonna have to mess around with the colors of salt a little bit in the future, maybe. But we'll see from there. In the meantime, though, like, yeah, that's my plant story. I used to do gardening when I was a little kid, a lot more than I do now. I wonder if we still have those dusty millards, or if they finally like got in the way of some other thing and got removed, or they may have died in the freeze or something. They were fun though. I planted those as a kid. I like dusty millards. They look like they're powdery and they're kind of not. They're they're cute little plants. When I was a kid, I was afraid of them because I didn't want to get the powder on me. I was like, oh no, is it like battery acid? And I was like, no, they're fine and they're hardy. All the little like pretty flowers we planted didn't make it very long when I was like 5. But those guys stuck around for years. And so I've got kind of a respect for dusty millards. They're fun little plants. Also, if anyone attempts to dox me from like identifying the plant life that grows in my region, good luck. These plants are native to a bunch of regions, and I don't even know if they're all native here because half of them are like in pots inside and stuff. And point B, I'd say I wouldn't even get mad, but I super would. Please don't do that. But like, it'd be impressive. I'd be impressed while I was angry. Be like, wow, I can't believe they figured that out. I'm gonna have to go stop streaming now and change my identity or something. I don't even know how you solve that. It'd be bad. I don't want to have to think about that kind of mess. Like, there's so much phishing and so many people running scams and stuff. And like, I know even like one of the folks in the chat here is a bot that isn't real. Be careful clicking on other names. Like, they just auto follow I think every new Twitch stream. And so they've got a bunch of follows in return, but they don't, like, post anything. And I'm suspicious of the one link in their bio that it might not be, you know, completely legit. But maybe it is. Maybe it's just an auto bot or something that's tracking some other thing. But, you know, I've learned to be on edge about these things, because you never know what's going to be the next, you know, scam. The next, you know... Don't ever pay anyone online in gift cards. Don't ever tell people online when you're going on vacation, unless you've already like gone on it. I guess I'd have to do that for the stream, but you know, we'll figure something out for that. Oop, I guess we had some gaps. But yeah, just you got to be safe. Unfortunately, you can't just trust people. Wish you could. That'd be nice. And most people you can. Like, the issue is not the majority of people. Just like with the rest of the internet, the issue is not that the majority of the people on it. It's that there's a few people on it who are intentionally malicious, and you have to be cautious of everyone because you don't know which ones are going to be those people. And it's like, well, like, I guess we've got to just be a little wary, stranger danger and all that jazz. Which, again, I don't mean to be dismissive of stranger danger or anything. Like, it's good to go out and meet people, but you do also have to be, you know, a little careful about things. Because once again, you don't know who you're going to meet. Okay, I'll deal with screen tones some other time. Those look really fun to mess with. They're a fun way to do shading that's a little more subtle. But right now, I'm just messing with, like, trying to get the flats on this halfway decent. Okay, tunic layer, down. What's the other thing on this layer? Oh no, I'm still on the hat and boots layer, aren't I? Oh, that's not good. Can I wonder if I can cut selection and if that's just going to take everything. Well, I'll be. Now that's pretty good, ain't it? Do just the tunic. We can deselect all that, and then we're going to go ahead and show the tunic again. Then I'm going to add yet another raster layer. It's always bad when you're working on the wrong layer. I know it's a stereotype, but it's so easy to do. Try to group things a little bit by color. I know I haven't been great about that so far. Okay, I'm gonna do hair and patches next. If I can at least get the flats in this stream, that would be great. Hopefully we can get to some of the shading, because that's the part that's really a little more artistry and really fun. But it does take a tad more focus too, so maybe I can't go on quite so many tangents about, you know, just random nonsense. Much as I enjoy my tangents about random nonsense, don't get me wrong. If you ever want more random nonsense, I am more than happy to share. Anytime at all. But I don't know that we need that right this second. Who are we kidding? We're watching a Twitch stream. It's kind of late in the evening, at least where I'm at. Late-ish. It's not that late. It's only midnight. Or 3 a.m. Or 8 p.m. Good luck guessing where I am now. Haha, I'm very clever and should not challenge people to do that. The only winning move is to not play on that. I'm not going to be challenging anyone. Please do not attempt to guess where I am. I'm sure some of you are clever enough to figure it out. Oh yeah, the other thing I totally accidentally messed up on the salt, like, sort of icon doodle. I forgot her glasses. So I'm gonna have to try to fix that here too. Let's try to get a little more of a point on these. Yeah, And I get a lot of the detail from, like, how I shade it more than anything else. But I do want to get these ones. I guess the hair does need to sort of cover this a little bit too. Yeah, see, I've got some gaps on the skin tone, I can already tell. And a little bit up here. I want the hair to kind of be a little taller, I guess. Problem is, you got to get these areas that are under the lines, and that's a little tricky to do. Okay, so we got kind of the patch here. Not visible behind the hat rim line. This one will be quick. Boom. Guess we got to do some patching on the patch. Select's not 100% perfect for this. Okay, other patch. I think this one shouldn't be black, actually. This is the one where I start to bring in kind of the reddy, the ever so slightly pinkish red. I'm going to scoot it a little more towards red. Just that hint of the pink. There we go. Let's see. This definitely needs to wrap around the edge, but it also, like, it can actually, like, billow out from the edge a little bit, give it a little depth. I'm good with that. Let's just keep that up. Keep that up. I worry I'm getting too many shades of brown in here before we've even done, like, you know, actual shading and stuff. I should really simplify the color palette for salt. And then we'll have a few lines here. Again, not super lines, but just kind of stitch lines. And we'll define more with shading. I should do the same with kind of the black tone that we have up here. And I don't think this is really violating the lineless style too bad. I'm sure there's some line purists who would get real mad at me for doing this, but, like, it's, you know, it's I'm not trying to be like a perfect, like, apply to some grant that requires you to do art with no lines. I'm just trying to keep mostly a style and not, like, cheat on it. I want to define facial features best as I can without lines, all that jazz. Okay, we can zoom out a little bit more. Because I think the next piece... Ooh, okay. The next piece is one that'll start to bring it together. And let me actually... I should have really just pulled from the Doodle Salt colors, because that's a way better brown. Yeah. Okay, so, like... Oh, I don't know what I've selected, but I'm going to deselect it. So maybe I should pull from that palette instead. Obviously, like, none of these browns look great at first, until you, like, actually get, like, a little shading and stuff on them. But I do think that the good thing about this is it's easy to just select areas and change colors. So I can adjust these no problem. Build tool is my friend. So I'm just going to try to get the base colors in first, and then if we need to tweak tones and hues and all that jazz a little bit. Okay. We'll do the tweaking on this one, and then I'll go try to do the fills, the flats on that other one. And then we'll wrap up some shading. I may do the shading off stream on Wednesday. I may just do it on stream on Thursday. It depends a lot on timing. There's a lot of stuff I kind of need to catch up on Wednesday, so I don't know how much I'll be able to get done. So we'll see. Oh, nope, 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 nope. Let's do one more. Let's do... oh, actually, I guess if I'm staying in line with the other one... Okay, this will be another thing that I need to adjust the colors on then. I mean, it is the cape. It just is. I like the cape. Is it an unnecessary decision to include a cape on Salt? Yes, 100%, but it feels super in character. It's like a little miniature cloak. Her idea of what a witch would wear. Whoops, not that one. I guess I can get that one. It's not like the end of the world if I do. It feels in character, and I like it. Plus, it adds like action to shots and stuff, and it's kind of fun to draw. Like, it lets me mess with fabric physics a little more in my drawing, which I love doing when I get the chance. Okay, and I don't need to be too like over precise on pixels, just like enough to make it clear what's going on where. And I'll try to actually get it underneath the sort of gemstone. Whether or not it actually ends up being there is, you know, who knows. Okay, but I'm actually going to try to go for kind of a lightish, reddish white here for this one. And I'm going to have to do something similar for these pieces. I'm going to pull them from the Salt, like, quick icon. And we'll have to, you know, we'll have to tweak skin tone layer 2 and all that. But I think there's just two more things that need to be on here. And then I'll hide the lines, and we'll see if, like, say this is too dominant. Or anything like that, because I think I've leaned a little too much into the pink, a little too little into the red, so I've ended up with this like really lovely hot pink kind of sharp look there, but it's cool, but it's not really what we need. It might be what well, no, I want to keep the color scheme like kind of simplified and unified. So, right, yes. Actually, this would help me with like a little bit more contrast on some nearby things too anyway. So, okay, so I want a new layer. This one is going to be belts. That's not how you spell belts, that's wallots. Good name for a D&D character maybe if you want to make your dungeon master annoyed. Which frequently I do as a dungeon master. It's fun when my players go crazy. So, like, I love seeing what people come up with. But yeah, if you want to be Walt, go for it. Be heckin' Walt Disney. Start your own movie business. Like, start robbing bards. Have fun with it. Not that Disney, you know, I'm not saying Disney went and mugged troubadours in the streets. And Disney did do quite a lot to revolutionize animation, so I've got to give them credit there. Obviously, there's other issues with business practices and such things. But, you know, we'll see. I'm not here to give commentary on Disney's copyright history. I am so far from qualified for that. Don't even get me started. I've probably got friends who actually understand copyright law halfway decent who could clarify some of this stuff a little better. But I don't think I want to invite them on stream like, hey, we want to have you on stream for a special occasion. Oh, what is it? A copyright law debate. No one's going to join for that. No one's going to watch that either, to be fair. Like, I don't know. Like, I'd say, I'm the kind of, like, you know, I might say I want to watch that, but then I'd get there and be like, oh, this is fantastically boring. Awesome. It's not really quite the vibe that you want, you know? Okay, so this final layer, Gem and Fringe, is one that I'm looking forward to. Because it's where we get some of the more color accents in here, and maybe this is where we get that kind of bolder, like, red, almost pink, but not quite pink. Yeah, let's start with this one. So step 1 is kind of the central gemstone, which I'm just going to loosely fill in there. And then step 2 is all this fringe. So who doesn't love fringe? I feel like there's probably a lot of people who don't like fringe. But dagnabbit, fringe is fun. See, this is one of the things where it would make sense for these to be on a layer behind it, and maybe I should separate it out so it's behind the tunic and not in front of it. But, like, for the moment, I think it's okay. Right, here's the last little bit. See, but this part definitely needs to be in front. Like this section here, where it's kind of worn and tattered. It's definitely like in front of the main body of the tunic. Man, my line work got so messed up from maneuvering the legs, I'm not even sure what's supposed to be exactly where here. I think I want kind of a finer point to come through this section. To no small extent, that detail is not going to be super visible. Okay, let's... Oh, right, blast it all. I'm actually going to do this on the cape layer because it's still going to be way in front of it. And the colors are going to be similar. Sometimes that's as good a grouping as any to help cut down on layers. It's just everything of this color. Let's go. But we need to get the eyes, and really specifically their glasses. I'm aware, but, you know. Eyes. But I need the hair to be in front of the... The hair can technically be at, like, the top layer if it needs to be. It doesn't overlap with anything it goes behind. And maybe we want the glasses to be on the front. We'll see. Kind of doubt it, though. Let's sort of loop these a little more. Okay. So we've got that. Let's just zoom out, and if we hide the lines, let's see how we've gotten this so far. Face is lacking, and there's some gaps and loss of details. Some of those details, like creases and stuff down here, we're going to handle with shading rather than with full line work. Same with the hands, same with mouth, actually. Eyes really should just be lines. The stitch work on these is a little too, I'd say, distracting in its current state, and this isn't quite working. If anyone else has feedback, by all means, huck it at me. So I'm going to do a little bit of cleanup while we're looking at this. Oh, and this patch is definitely way too eye-catching. This one too, actually. I need to sort of tone them both down a little. But we're going to do some major color fixes. So first off, hat and boots. I just want to do some patch up here. And I guess slightly larger selection pen. Let's move at least up to 6. Because I also noticed that we've got like a little gap down there. Which again, it's not bad, but it's noticeable. Oops, I forgot a key ingredient. The color picker. Okay. Oops. Okay. Instead of that fill, let's just do the color picker fill. There we go. Now we don't have that kind of awkward border where it's like pseudo shaded. You can sort of see as it fades off into lighter tones there. We don't really want that regardless, but we definitely don't want it here. Did I forget to adjust the anti-aliasing on this, or am I just like too close up? Nope. Okay, it's just too close. That's fine. That is a-okay. Can do a little cleanup on those, but I'm not really terribly worried about them. I may just... So on tunic, I'm just going to color pick the tunic. I'm just going to go at it with a pencil, or with a pen, really, is what I ought to do. Sort of fill in some of these gaps. This one up here, I can sort of clean up. Some of these ones around the edges. This is absolutely nitpicky detail work that I don't want to waste too much time with. And then I know that the pink is in front, so I can just be kind of casual with how I deal with that one. The pinks, I got that. I guess this is an issue. I should use this anti-aliasing. The weak one, where it's smooth, but it doesn't add, like, the smoothing. I think that might be better. That's what we want to do going forward. Okay, hat. Hat really should even be behind skin tones, if I'm being honest. But the problem is that boots probably need to be... Well, the boots just need to be in front of this, which needs to be in front of skin tones. Okay. Probably? Actually, that's... That's fine. Okay, that's fine. This is bad. So hat and boots needs to be above, cape, pants, sock, bag needs to be below skin tones. And then, when I go to hat, I can color pick this, and I can just go hog wild on filling in all the gaps back here. You shouldn't be able to see that. Absolutely not. Hair's not bad. Hair's not bad. Patch, obviously, we'll need to adjust for both patches. Hands are good enough right now. Okay, so we've got this filled in. We've got like, oop, what did I don't need this little mark here. Nope. What do I get for looking away from the screen for 2 seconds? Okay, skin tones. Color pick the skin tones. Use the pen. Fill in. See, this looks a little warpy, and I think there's a reason for it, because if we look at the line work, yeah, you can see that, well, actually, that's just like a little off kilter. Oops. So what I may do is, oops, I don't need to hide the whole thing, just the line work, and then on the skin layer, I may just sort of like smooth out a little bit. Hair will hide most of it, that's fine. If we do the line work, that's still workable, and we'll get the rest of those details with shading, don't y'all worry. We're not just going to have the face fade into oblivion. Okay, the hair and patches layer. This is kind of my problem layer. My last problem layer, I should say. We've dealt with most of the other problems pretty quickly, I think. I'm just going to clean that up a little bit. That's kind of a smoother flow anyway. Kind of like that. Clean it up around the glasses too, which are currently in the front, but I'm not sure that's down the front, so I still want to kind of make this, the drawing here, like a little clean. Okay. So yeah, you can see we're still getting the anti-aliasing. I guess that's not what that is. It's just like a little bit of a fade because we're too close in. Anyway, so if I do that, it's still there. If I do that, it's still there, but even worse. Doing that one, it's still there, but a little sharper. And then this one doesn't have it, but it also looks terrible. So yeah, I guess these smoothing lines are what I was asking for when I shifted the anti-aliasing up. I just didn't realize that's what I was doing. Oh, right, we're on raster. Okay, okay, eraser view. Don't need brush size, I need the actual tool. Art eraser. Let's go. Mondo. Cool, cool, cool. Never forgetting to save. Well, I think this playlist actually doesn't have that much music, I'm realizing, because these are starting to sound real familiar already. I probably ought to have checked that. Okay, so what I'm going to do, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try to, I won't do shading off stream. I may work on getting this one the flat colors done on off stream. That way they'll be ready for shading. Next time we do stream on Thursday, same time, 8 to 10 Central. We'll go through, we'll do some of these shading techniques, get it a little closer to the sign of what we did with the salt doodle. And then we'll get this posted on Art Fight, and I'm down if anyone wants to fight me. I'd happy to do some fights. I've got one friend that I definitely want to do an attack for. That would be fun. I am Team Bloom for the folks who are interested. So I'd be happy to, whoops, not run off into the distance. But I'd be happy to do, you know, some stuff with that. But okay, so with that said, let's get some of these colors adjusted, because I actually really like what we've got going on with this color setup a lot more. And part of the reason I do this like lovely soft blue background, by the way, is so I can actually use like real whites, and it doesn't just blend in. Plus, it helps contrast the red a little bit and make it pop just that tiny bit more. So this is what I need for cape pants, well, specifically both cape parts and the eyes. So for these, I'm actually just going to crack open the fill. I'm going to hide the lines, because I need to make sure this is filling even that stuff. I don't want to just miss the edges. And then up on the cape and eyes layer. Ah! Okay, possibly my line tolerance is a little too forgiving on this. Don't do close gap, just... Did that make it worse? Okay, let's Oh, don't tilt. Undo. Okay, we're getting a lot of overflow from this one still. Let's see if we can't maybe do less tolerance? Maybe do more tolerance. Nope, I thought it was less. Ah! Okay. Less tolerance. I want no tolerance. Really? You think that those are the same color? Oh, jeepers. Well, maybe this fill tool is going to require a little more work than I thought. Because I guess it's oozing into these like mid-tones and then into this one. Okay. I know I've got it set to refer to other layers. I assume if I refer only to editing layer. Okay, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's not contained by the lines. Okay, cool. I don't think I actually want to double tap the glasses. We'll keep it a little closer to the line work for now. That's fine. Ah! Okay, I'm just gonna have to clean those up manually now that I've gone and done it the way I have. But that's okay, we're learning. Okay, so I needed this to just refer to this layer for these pieces. That's fine. Let's see. So for the, I kind of like this red. The hot pink's a little strong, but I think this one where it's got just like the hint of it is good. I'm gonna go ahead and do like a little bit of pen fixing. Let me make sure I'm on the right layer here. We've got cape pants. Yeah. And get those brown edges off of it. I don't want it to look muddy, and I don't really want it to look like it's got an outline. The point of this lineless style is to kind of not look like that. And then we'll just sort of blend it in there. Okay, a little bit is fine. A couple off pixels in this case aren't going to be a big deal. Okay. So I'm liking that. Let's deal with the hair and the top patch next, because I kind of like these where I've got the lighter ones and then I went in with the shade and did the kind of darker. Yeah, that's an interesting thing. If you've got an area that's going to be super highlighted or super dark, the flat doesn't actually need to be the true, like, color necessarily. It's probably smart too, but it doesn't have to be. That's horrendously ominous. Really cool looking, actually. Salt in the void, but not really Salt's vibe, not really what we need. Once again, let's check that we're on the right layer before we click things. Boom, kind of got that gray hair. We'll add a little more detail to it as we need to. I like how these turned out. They've got good enough contrast without being distracting from everything else. Like, I know it's a darker area, but I think it's sufficiently close. I could make the sock color the same sort of black, because it's clear that we've already got the fabric if we're using it for those patches. So let's do that. Let's make gray socks. Let's see if that looks decent. We'll zoom back out. With a lot of shading, I think that is too close. I think it's too close. There we go. I wanted to make sure it's clearly different enough from the kind of not quite mocha-y, chocolatey brown of this part. I want to make sure that that's distinct. How are we doing on time? Less than 10 minutes. Jeepers. Man, today has just flown by. Yesterday was a horrible drag. It was a very harrowing day figuring out the tree cutting and stuff. Very stressful. Today was a much more effective work day at my job, I've got to say. Far less distracted. But it has flown by. Pardon. Best way to make a day fly by is to anticipate something that you're, well, nervous about at the end of the day, I guess. Well, if you're going to focus on it, be anxious the whole time, it doesn't fly by. But if you don't want it to get here, it'll get here. But I'm glad I've had this stream after all of the stuff I had to do this afternoon to help cool down. It's been fun cooling down with you guys, however many of you may or may not be real. Even if you're all bots, I'm happy to chat with anyone watching the old VODs, because holy cow, by the time anyone cares about this, these are probably going to be real stinking old VODs. But that's okie dokie with me. Hopefully it still is in the future. Hopefully I don't have to cancel this one by doxing myself by talking about the, snowstorm. That would be awkward. Okay, let's grab this pink. And I'm going to do two things with it. First, I'm going to go back to patch layer. We're going to go back to fill, and we're going to fill this. Wow, it's even brighter now. Because this is the wrong pink, isn't it? I color... That's why it looks off. Grab the upper pink. Is it not? Is this one of those things where it's just the colors you're next to, like, really impact how it ends up looking? I think it is. Wow. Wow, you're telling me that if I just draw a line, like a nice line right now from this all the way to this. Dang. My brain is literally trying to tell me that this line is, like, glowing as it gets closer to this. That's wild. Okay. So this color doesn't super work down here. I do still want to have a kind of reddish accent down there. I don't want all those red accents to be at the top. I mean, we can try it with the black one. I'm okay with the patches both being those colors. I kind of like disparate patch colors. But maybe we do a brown one, sort of more like the boots. Kind of bring that color up a little bit. I'm not sure if I need to bring that color up a little bit. But let's see, if I zoom out on that, it's... I think with shading it will be less noticeable. But I'm still kind of inclined... Let's try the boot color, or let's try this color. Maybe bringing this up into the design will actually be... Yeah. Okay, and the tunic color isn't finalized either. It's possible some of the contrast issues are against that. I want the kind of reddish fringe on this, but I also... There's something to be said about keeping all of the red on this one piece, because it's actually got backstory for Salt. Maybe we go with just sort of this tone again. Which, again, I need to make sure I'm on the gem and fringe layer. See, I even grouped the gem and the fringe. And the fringe detailing is still not great there. Shading will help immensely with that. Yeah, I think this makes more sense. Now, the question is this particular brown tone going to change to the sort of cooler, less bold? And I think it is. So I'm going to nab this one right here, and I'm just going to go fill crazy on... Well, I'm not sure I actually want to go fill crazy on these details. I want to do it on the hat. I want to make sure I get the hat with this. Because I really think it's a much better hat color. And the question is... Oops. Nope. Ah, I keep hitting minus as though that's undo. It's not. It's zoom out. So do I want to change the tunic color to this? Or do I want to change these accents to this? So that's going to be like belts. That's going to be like bag. Where the heck did I put it? Right. Bag. And that's going to be fringe. Thoughts, anyone? Again, you don't have to converse. As I always say, I'm not your teacher. I'm not here to force you to chat. But you're welcome to jump in and say anything if you like to. I'm always open to opinions. I'm always open to being backseated. If someone can tell me how to stop doing that repeatedly, that would be great. But I think that's a human error thing that I'm just going to have to learn. Okay, let's go back to... Oops. Let's go back to trying this color on the tunic layer. Sorry for the unintentional flashing lights, y'all. Jeepers. I like it. Some of the pieces aren't quite working. The fringe doesn't work. Like, the belts kind of work. The bag, I almost wonder maybe the bag shouldn't match the belt color. Oh, okay. I know what I did. Let's see how this works, and then I may dig out an old character style I'd done back in an early version of Salt. Maybe that's the way to go on this. I've redesigned Salt many times. Maybe. Red alert. Sorry about that. Let's try just the belt. Can I do just... Unfortunately, both belts are connected. And then maybe, like, the bag itself would be white. See, this is the fun part, because now we can just mess around with colors and sort of see what ends up looking good. Like, this already looks super different from how it was before, and I kind of like the cooler browns, honestly. I think it would, give me some other stuff to work with. In terms of, like, color coordinating with other characters, these reds are definitely too bold for all the belts and everything. And I think the bag fades off into the background too much when it's like this. Also, too much red is going to take away from the potency of, like, the red that matters. So maybe I just need to find a... a color that sort of complements the tunic better. Or maybe we do go back to the... Let me try something. I'm gonna grab this brown because it's a little softer. I'm gonna use it on the belts and everything. They're all gonna vanish for a second. Bag, you too. No. Tag nab. You'd think I'd be getting better at that, but I think I'm actually getting worse about it. So I'm gonna have to figure out how to practice that well. Okay. And then what I was gonna do is now if I take if I take the hat color and I use it on the tunic, does it work better with these belts? And you know, I dare say it does. Salt's looking like a proper farmer with a few artifacts, which is where she started really. Nothing's terribly distracting from that design. It puts good emphasis on the cape. The reds kind of work with these browns. I'm liking this as a color scheme for Salt. It may not be final. We may make it so the hat and the tunic don't match exactly. But I also kind of like the idea that they're the same material. So we may stick with that for a little bit. Wow, we're down to 1 minute already? Okay, so I'm good. These are the colors I think we're going to stick with. These are going to look workable with the line work, not great. And you see kind of why I picked this line color red. Even if most of Salt's design isn't red, like some of the really key accents super are. Ooh. Okay, actually, last second idea. Whoop. Sorry. I need to put an epilepsy warning until I figure out how to control the zoom. Crikey. I'm going to add one more layer, and I'm going to try 2 different colors on it. This is going to be knee gems. This probably doesn't need to be its own layer, but it is now. It goes under the tunic, over the boots. Thank heavens that worked out. It'd be a real pain if it didn't. So first off, there's 2 colors I want to potentially try on this one. One of them is this red. Oh, and I need to actually select the areas and fill it, so let me grab the selection tool. We're going to run a tiny bit overtime. Sorry about that, y'all, but we did also, kick in a little bit late, so hopefully that's okay. And again, I don't have a raid yet planned out. So if anyone has raid suggestions, I'm super down still. Let's see how these look in the red. I'm going to hide the line work again, because we have to think about how they're going to look without line work. They are going to have shading. So that does bring the red down lower, which is good. But the alternative I want to think about to really keep the red special and always in kind of a better contrast is let's go with the white. I think with a little shade, maybe with a little translucency, and some clarity that those gems, that there's kind of what they are, I think that would be good. I like the mocha patch still, although I think the black patch works fine on this tunic color. Oh, pardon my yawns. I really do need to get some sleep, so I'm going to try not to go crazy over time. So let's try... I'm going to try it one more time. Do we consolidate patch colors? I think we don't. It's amazing how just a level of detail, nothing else, but just the level of detail is making a difference on how much lighter this looks than even when, this contrast looks so different. They're the same colors. Wild. Okay, so I'm going to leave it like that. I think that sort of ties the colors in a little better. With shade, the gems are going to be super shaded the whole time, so they won't actually end up matching the cloak at the end. But next time we're going to look at multiply layers a little bit. Once again, I'll make sure I have the other character off to the right here ready to go. That is my... I say promise. Life may get in the way, and unfortunately, while Twitch streaming is a priority, my job is my actual source of income. So I kind of have to do that one. And also eating is important. I have found out by trying to not do it. Okay, not for extended periods of time. But, you put it off, you get excited about something, you're like, oh wait, crud, food is important. My brain's not working right anymore. Okay. So I think this has been an excellent, very productive day. I think these Salt character sheets are coming along. The only other thing we might end up wanting to include on a final character sheet when I post this to Artfight is a little more detail about the cloak behind her, because it really is a wild cloak. And a little bit more detail, speaking of that cloak, Let's see. Salt sketches adjusted V2. I don't need the fill. I need a pencil. Speaking of that cloak. Because it's kind of more... Whoops. Let me make sure I'm getting the right color of sketching in here. Give me the reds of your eyes. Okay. Because it's kind of more like... kind of like scarfy layers more than a cloak. Sheepers. So we'll make sure that we get that in here too, so that it's showing right. And I'll make sure it's actually like blowing in the wind and looking dramatic and stuff, and not just sitting there stagnant while the rest of Salt moves. Because that would be kind of awkward. But yeah, I'll do my best to make sure that we've got this, like, the flats in for this one, and that the cape is actually, like, you know, showing up in a way that is meaningful. Actually, yeah, I think maybe if we get rid of this one, and we add, like, a little character to this one. There we go. There we go. See, that's coming together now. Yeah. So we'll make sure we get all that stuff in there. And then we will catch up next time, do the molts, do the shading, sort of like what we did here. We'll see if we can get something that looks that good. I'm really happy with how this one turned out. Obviously, it's still got its challenges, still got its issues. I could have put a little more shading along this to indicate that this isn't just a blob of shadow, but it's in fact like a notch in the hat. But no matter. There we go. That's a little too mirrory. Just let's kind of just hide it in there. There we go. Now it kind of looks a little clearer that these are different pieces. Maybe even if I get like a little line of something going that way. There we go. So maybe I'll do like separate drawings of just the cape and kind of a 3/4 view of the cape itself, and of the the handbag, because I actually like the handbag design quite a lot. But I won't. I keep saying I won't do it tonight. I need to go to bed. I'm super tired, and I need to shower and all that jazz too. But like, dagnabbit, this should really be facing the other way, shouldn't it? Easy fix, maybe. Ha 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 ha! I'd like to think that I'm clever, but if I was clever, I wouldn't have made that mistake in the first place. Oh well. But the point is that it all just kind of gets tied up in some like horrible, knotty, scarfy mess back here with a bunch of layers. And by horrible, I mean I absolutely love it. Her scarf thing's got a lot going on. And then I think that this would need to like sort of cross over or some weird nonsense. Make it really sort of clear that it's got weird foldy something going on. Anyway, so we've got that, and then, I mean, while I'm talking about it, I might as well. These don't all need to be on the same layer, for the record. Got her quote-unquote potion bag. It's mostly full of moss, I'll be real with you. Mostly moss. Gonna straighten that corner. Ah, I say straighten and then I tilt. Okay, I keep saying I'm gonna stop and I keep not stopping. But I promise after I get the bag done in here, I will. There we go. Kind of got like the little lacy thing coming off of it, like you do. And this, no, I don't. I want to press the right buttons if I can. And this, I need to, you know, clean up the bottom of it a little bit because it kind of comes to more of a point, really. Yeah, we're getting to something like that. And then, yeah, it actually does sort of like do that kind of accordion foldy thing. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen it on like school binders and stuff. But yeah. So we'll kind of get some. Yeesh! I am so sorry about that, y'all. I am going to figure out why my controls keep swapping, and I am one of these days, and this stream won't be a headache-inducing nightmare. I do apologize immensely for that. But yeah, I'll get some details on those. I'll clean up the bag a little bit. The scarfy cape actually looks pretty good. And we'll have some flats ready, at least for the salt bodies, and we'll get those shaded. So, thank y'all for coming out. It has been a blast. I will leave y'all with the music for a little bit, but we are going to have to head out. So, you know, I'm sure there's a lot of other excellent streamers live right now. I wish that I could keep y'all here longer, but I gotta let you go. I'd recommend searching. I hate to suggest people search. People always go like, "Oh, just go look it up yourself." And it's like, but if you have the answer, just do it. But like, just say it. But unfortunately, I don't have the answer for y'all today, so I am gonna have to just let y'all go. I'd suggest trying like a hashtag artfight in the Twitch search. Find other people who are doing these. I'm on Team Bloom. Siphimir sends his regards, of course, as always. And hopefully we'll see some of y'all there in art fight, or you can at least enjoy some other people doing art fights. So with that, have a good one, y'all.